Hey folks, how's it going? Dr. Spin. In my quest to find my favorite albums from 2021, I've been working through this bracketed elimination and then sharing them out with you, see what you think. At the end of this video, there will be clips up from each of these artists, so check them out and sign up below, see if I'm on the right track with this stuff. So today I'm looking at Gunship's self-titled debut versus Steven Wilson's The Future Bites. Now, there's this kind of a tenuous thread that I think connects these two albums and makes this comparison kind of interesting because there's sort of this nexus between these two with the 80s music, in my opinion. Now, Gunship, that's not too hard to suss out because Gunship is a synthwave group that's deliberately trying to mine the nostalgic value of 80s music. They're not just using sounds to do that, synthesizer sounds, but also their topicality. They have guest artists come on that resonate with people who are from the 80s and know what that period was like. It's got these post-apocalyptic overtones, but at the same time it remains to be sort of a new iteration of those sounds. It's not completely copying the 80s, but definitely using those sounds and those tropes to do something that's new and different, embedded with great songwriting and awesome arrangements. Now, with The Future Bites, it's a little bit different because he's not really trying to necessarily copy the 80s, but there's a certain sense that Steven Wilson is trying to recreate progressive rock music in the same way that like Trevor Horn had to recreate progressive rock music in the early 80s when he came on with Yes. There's a sense that progressive rock has run a certain run of ground, and there's not really an iteration of current progressive rock that really could be made in the 21st century the way that things are right now. A lot of it looks back. I'm not going to say all because there's always exceptions, but generally speaking, progressive rock tends to look back rather than forward. And what I think Steven Wilson is doing here is trying to recreate what progressive rock possibly could be in the same way that we saw in the 80s. And of course, Steven Wilson has a certain connection with the 80s. He likes albums. He likes music that's organized in that way and looks back fondly on that time as much as he does any other time. But it really is an album that, despite having that sort of aesthetic to it, still is very, very contemporary and couldn't happen any other time besides right now. I mean, especially with the topicality involved in it, the way that he talks about commercialism and the internet and the way we are in the world today. So of these two albums, both of which are very, very solid albums. And I love this Gunship album. It's the album I've listened to the most over the course of this entire year. But Steven Wilson has to win on this one due to the meticulous nature of his vision and his concept for this album and the way that it sustains throughout the entire album, not just musically, but also conceptually and also topically. So Steven Wilson goes on. Agree, disagree? Sound off down below. Like and subscribe if you want to know more of these videos are coming out. Until then, I'll catch you guys on the flip side.